guys. I just wanted to make like a little follow-up video on the video that I made yesterday about my twin flame, because there were a couple of things that I did that made me feel not crazy. There are things that you can do to kind of verify the information, even if you've been friend zoned. So a couple of things that I did was, well, for one, it's like these synchronicities will be undeniable. You know, it's like you're not looking for it. It just kind of happens to you a lot. And you're just like, not even wanting it. And you get bombarded. So that's one. Two was, this is the coolest story, because I went out with this guy, because I've always been, pretty open, like, not totally fixated on the guy, right? So I go to dinner with this one guy, and he is sure, when I tell him the story, he is sure that this is unrequited love. He's like, no, you like a guy who doesn't like you back. And so I was like, I've always been one of those people who will just entertain anything, not necessarily completely buy it, but I have a very open mind. So I thought, yeah, it's very possible that could be going on. And so I went home, and I just felt like, yeah, I just want to know the answer. I don't care what the answer is. I want to know what's going on. Why am I getting bombarded with all this if it's nothing? When I don't even necessarily want it. It's like just kind of happening to me. It's like living in a haunted house in a way. So and a lot of the things that happen, by the way, are on my blog, on my website, Amy Satori. Just click on the blog. I've written about a lot of the things that kind of alerted me that he was my twin flame. So this guy says this, and I go home, and I'm like, you know what? I just want to the bottom of this. That's it. I'm tired of wondering what's going on here and feeling crazy. So this guy, I almost said his name. This guy texted me just before I fell asleep. And he said, I have a way for you to know the truth. I have a way for you to get to the bottom of this. He thought he was being really clever. I thought, okay, I'm going with this because I do want to know. Nobody wants to be delusional. It's like, if he's not it, just tell me, I know that feeling. So he says, if you want to know the truth, then get a glass of water and drop a bloodstone in it and set the intention that you know the truth tomorrow. And I said, yeah, I like it, right? So I'm looking around my room, and I'm looking for a jar of water. And all that I had near me, this is so funny, was a jar of blessed water, holy water. That's all I had, which is really ironic, because the twin flame connection is all about spirituality, right? That spiritual connection. So I thought, what the heck? I'll just use the holy water. You can't get better, right? You can't get more pure. So I went and grabbed a bloodstone, happened to have one, and it just happened to be close by. So I dropped the bloodstone in the water. I mean, I've never even heard of this or anything. I was like, I'll do whatever, I just want to know. So I drop it in the little jar next to me on my way to bed, and fell asleep. Oh, and I talked to God, and my higher self of my twin. And I just said, look, I really just want to know the truth. Like, if you are truly my twin flame, I said that I wanted to know the absolute truth. And the way that I would know is he would contact me in the physical, in the 3D, the next day. And because he never does that. He never texts, never calls, never initiates anything. All he's ever done is surprise me at the lighthouse and just shows up. So, he never reaches out. So I knew that would be huge, right? So I went to sleep, and I woke up in the morning, and I kid you freaking not. I am so serious right now, you guys. This really happened. I woke up and looked at my phone, and he had texted me before he even woke up. He had texted me And he said, thank you so much for that talk we had a couple of weeks ago. It really meant a lot to me. So not only was it something in the physical, but it was a thank you. It was a heartfelt thank you, something he'd never expressed before to that degree or anything. So it was shocking. It was shocking, and I was laughing because this guy thought he was being so smart, to send this little test. And so I reported back to him. I said I actually heard from him as a result. And so he was like, and then I found out a little bit later that, he ended up, this guy that put me to the test, he ended up confessing that that the last time we hugged, that he's kind of turned on by it. So I'm like, okay, So be forewarned too that some people who kind of poo-poo it actually are after you. Anyway, the other thing I did, and this was crazy too, is you can do something called, I forget, it may have been like Marianne Williamson or something. Somebody told someone who ended up telling me, and I created kind of my own thing from it. But I've always called my committee my Divine Guidance Council, right? So then I heard about this idea of, and you can use so many different variations of this, but you basically just kind of sit before bed, like lean up against the wall, get out your diary, get ready to start writing, and you just picture a clock in front of you, and then you invite your divine guidance counselor, whatever you want to call it, your spirit guides, angels, God, Jesus, everybody. Everyone's welcome if they love you unconditionally, and if they want to see you succeed and be happy, invite them in, and then you just ask, like, who is at 1 o'clock? And then you wait to see if any words or images or people or anything appear in the middle. And then if nothing appears, then you just go to 2 o'clock. So there's no pressure, right? You go all the way around the clock, or you can just go a few pegs and stop, or whatever you want to do, right? I've gone a couple of pegs and stopped because it took, like, I got an hour worth of downloads from it. So just set the intention at the beginning and then do one of these council meetings. And what happened one time was, I don't even remember how many pegs I had gone in or anything, but I got the word Esther. And I thought, Esther, that's interesting. I was like, Esther Hicks, because I'm into the law of attraction. I was like, is this Esther Hicks? I got, no. And I got, Esther who? And I was like, Esther in the Bible? And I got, yes. And I was like, Esther, what do you want with me? I don't remember what the story in the Bible was about or anything. I was like, Esther. So she ends up telling me that my twin flame has always been my twin flame, like forever. I guess that's the way it works, right? And that many past lives that go back around Jesus's time, I was the neighbor girl, and he was her son, and we were best friends. And she said he was just as stubborn then, and you were the only person who could break through to him. And I remember I said to her, I said, he's not stubborn. What are you talking about? She said, you haven't seen it yet, but you will. And I was like, he does not seem like the stubborn type to me. He seems very, like, open, and I don't know. I was like, kind of, I didn't understand, because he didn't seem stubborn to me at that time, because I didn't really know him all that well. And anytime I've ever talked to him, he seemed like really cool. So I didn't know what she meant or what he would have to be stubborn about or anything back then. But I wrote it all down in my diary anyway. And she ended up telling me this story. Or she said, she goes, look up my son. When I started to do some research and I looked into it, sure enough, she had one son. And then I dug into the history of that son, and it ended up, it ended up that my twin is like a marathon runner. That's one of the things he likes to do. He likes to run. I guess I can give that little piece of information about him. It's innocent enough, and there are a lot of runners in this world. So, But looking back into the history, her son back in that time had become some kind of a king or something. And I don't even know, I don't even remember the story, but the word marathon, he created the word for marathon and what it means in our day, in our time now. He actually coined the phrase. He called it a marathon, or he was responsible for the marathon being created. That to me was just about knocked me off of my seat. I thought, holy crap. And then when he did become seemingly stubborn, when he was just like, want to be friends, when he started doing that, I was like, huh, what is this? Like, why is he saying this? This doesn't make any sense. Like, what? Huh? And then I was like, oh. And now this had been many, many months later. It dawned on me. I remembered Esther and what she said about his stubbornness. So that was just awesome verification, right? And you can get different messages every time that you tune into this Divine Guidance Council too. So try it on many different subjects if you're trying to brainstorm as to like what your life purpose is, or just anything. Gosh, it's like, what have these downloads been about lately? Or like, why do I feel all these ascension symptoms? Or why does this thing keep happening with this person, or whatever? And it'll be really, really cool. I promise. It takes some practice, but it definitely gets your creative juices flowing too, and helps you to learn how to listen to your intuition better. Anyway, I just thought those would be interesting. If I think of any other cool tools, maybe I'll put out another video, or maybe I'll add it in the description of this video. So I guess keep an eye out in the description. But hopefully that helps, and let me know in the comments below, like if you try those things and what happened. It'd be so interesting, right? All right, guys, have a beautiful day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.